Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Fallout New Vegas. Let's continue. So, we finished the part of the quest with the powder keggers and killing them, and then that just kind of ended the quest. Whereas I feel like there is some other tutorial that we're supposed to be doing. I guess the main story here is probably they went that way. And so if I can't find anything else to do in this area, we should probably do that, where the rest of these are DLC things. But the Ghost Town gunfight we did to some level of success. We didn't get the optional quest of getting the explosives from Sneaky Pete, but whatever, it all ended well enough. So yeah, I guess they went that way would be our next quest, and I kind of don't have anything else to do. It's just get on the highway and follow the highway to the southeast direction and stay on the highway. I cannot target birds with the VATS, so I assume that means you can't actually shoot the birds. Okay. Yeah. This Good Springs is a very small little tutorial area. Here we have the destroyed remains of the characters. Oh, there was one thing. We did get a hat, so let's equip the Desperado cowboy hat and increase our perception. And then I guess we can keep the light armor jumpsuit on. We can kind of see ourselves from behind. That really highlights where the pointlessness of building yourself custom appearance comes into play. So yeah. As far as my relationship to Good Springs, I'm idolized. You probably could go 2 or even 3 more levels above that, and I'm shunned by the powder keggers gang. And I guess we're just generally looking for experience otherwise. Just take one last look. We went into the school. We know there's some safes and things we could try and sneak around and rob in Good Springs later, maybe. You almost need games like this to have factions move in and replace them. So it's almost a requirement. I wonder if I shot that, if that would explode. I wonder if I shot that, if that would explode. Nope. That was a no on both cases. But yeah, if you're going to have safes, then, and a karma system, then you're going to need to find some way in which you can either be very stealthy and not get caught, which maybe is just increasing your stats and coming back and sneaking later, or you can change the faction out and have like the powder keggers take over this town at some point in the story. There is an argument, certainly, to just not have moral systems in games at all. I don't think there's anything there. And the guidance was to stay on the road. That insects and animals, wildlife, would attack you if you got off the road, and if you got very far off the road, you're likely to be attacked by way more dangerous creatures. Also, I still have like a burdened element to this, in which I don't have that much space to pick up items, and I only have about 50 pounds worth of items that I can carry. Let's see, I guess we might be going in that direction. So, it might be a fairly peaceful journey just walking from one place to the other. I was expecting these walks to take a little bit longer and for there to be some side quest distractions in the process. We may still run into that. But New Vegas may just be a smaller, more manageable map than the huge, way too large map that we have in Fallout 3. So we're at the crossroads. You can see some textures popping in. This is an old game. It certainly could be tweaked to have more things load in. Although noticeably, the loading when you come from the menu is really fast and snappy. So you do benefit from the game being old enough that it's not expecting or trying to load in like hundreds of gigs of data, of texture data and visuals and map data. And none of these games, well, none of the Bethesda games have ever had like real jump puzzles or anything like that. So I wouldn't really expect there to be platforming sections. The jumping is going to be fairly limited in this game since you don't have a run button, so you're not varying your speed much. Maybe you move a little bit faster if you push the left analog stick inward more, but I'm pushing it all the way and it still feels like you're moving fairly slow. This really is a game that, yeah, I just don't think iron or cameras are worth picking up. This is a game definitely where you are going to benefit more by having your gun out and being paranoid. Okay. So there's a powder ganger. And there's a powder ganger, but that they're not aggressive at me at the moment, so unless they shoot first, I'm willing to ignore them. They may just be the raiders of this game, and they are bad guy chain gangs, effectively, that the New California Republic brought in as slaves to work on some kind of railroad. We haven't seen it yet. You have discovered several locations. You can now fast travel back to locations using the world map on your Pip-Boy. So, you do now have fast travel. Yeah, in Fallout 3, if they were exactly like raiders, they would be rushing towards me and attacking me without any provocation at all. Here we have a dead young gecko, which that's one of the weird things about Fallout games, and it seems to be true here in this case also, is that you can see life interacts and actually does things when you're somewhat close to it, even slightly close to it, whereas mini games will have most AI not attempt any actions at all until you're very, very close to it, and really only interact with probably should be turning off the kill cams at this point too. Let's see what we can do with that. Just see. Kill cam mode, cinematic, none, player view. Let's go with player view for a while and see how that feels, but it's probably going to be none because it's doing it like every time. At the moment it is. Probably because there aren't any other enemies around. You probably wouldn't do a cinematic kill cam unless I was using VATS and there were other people not around. Yeah. The last of a group being cinematic would make sense. So there's a little bit of radiation over there. Needed to walk around. So we couldn't stay completely on the highway. So, Prim Hotel and Gas. I have no idea what Prim would have been originally called. It says Smile. Here we have an example. There's a rad roach being attacked by a young gecko hunter. And that's where you end up finding dead creatures all over the place, is that they're just insects that have been or wildlife that has been programmed to encounter other wildlife aggressively, and that probably leads to a lot of crashing because it's probably using a lot more CPU and RAM power than you really would want it to. And just, yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense at all. It should be that these characters are probably just frozen in place before you can see them, and just programmed to be a lot more passive until you are fairly close to them. Yes, in a role-playing game it would be nice if the entire world felt alive, but that's changing the world and giving a slightly inconsistent experience. We'll go to the New California Republic and see if they will treat me nicely.
Where the hell do you think you're going? Prim is off limits.
Let's see. So, now we get our side quest as to why we can't go to Prim.
Some convicts from the prison up the road have taken over the town. Everyone inside is either dead or in hiding. What's more, there are 2 tribes of raiders causing trouble in this area as well. You'd be safer heading back up to Good Springs. We'd love to, but they don't fall under NCR jurisdiction. Even if they did, we're in no shape to protect them.
Let's see.
We don't have the equipment to take out the convicts. And even if we did, we need some extra hands for backup. You should talk to Lieutenant Hayes. He's in a tent down the road. Just stay on the west side of the overpass if you don't want to get shot.
Okay, west side of the overpass. We'll just hide our weapons. Alright, let's look on the cursor so we know we're going the right direction. I almost walk down the right side, the wrong side, the east side. This looks like some kind of trolley car. Yeah, that is one of the problems, certainly, with the idea of New Vegas or Las Vegas, is that you have like Las Vegas and Atlantic City and Reno and no, Atlantic City I think is actually in New Jersey, not Nevada. Yeah, so Las Vegas and Reno are about the only two cities I know of, and most people would know of, in Nevada and near Las Vegas. So all the other cities basically have to be, they might as well be made up whole cloth and fictional. Yeah, there's nowhere as many iconic things to see. What it probably would have made more sense, frankly, to do is to have the entirety of this land actually be Las Vegas and have no wasteland at all. Just have it be scaled up so each building, most of the buildings still are around, and as such you are going in and out of Las Vegas buildings way more often, and it is just more of that type of experience where a urban warfare okay, so I see some tents here. I assume one of these is probably the lieutenant's tent. These are far from like the Brotherhood of Steel group. They are light armored militiamen. Would be about the closest equivalent I think you could call them. They'll be stronger than me, I imagine, for the early game, but assuming I get a power suit at some point, I think I'd be able to take out this entire facility.
Patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter.
Okay.
I'm Lieutenant Hayes of the New California Republic Army, 5th Battalion, 1st Company. What's your business?
Let's ask what's going on.
We were sent out here to hold back the
I wish
tide of convicts from the
they had
correctional facility.
voice acting
As you can probably
for
tell,
the
we
player
weren't doing the kind of
character
job
also.
we could be doing. The mission isn't a problem. The problem is with supplies. The convicts are better armed and organized than our intel initially suggested. I'm trying to get some reinforcements here, maybe some guns with some firepower, but shit. Things are just going slow. Most people just call it NCRCF. That's NCR Correctional Facility. A little bit ago, the convicts there staged a coup. Killed the guards that weren't able to escape. And I've been ransacking the area since then.
See, as far as a moral system, this seems pretty straightforward. Side with the NCR, kill the convicts.
Not much. They've taken to calling themselves powder gangers. Mostly because they've taken to using the explosives meant to clear boulders as weapons. They got organized faster than I would have thought. Most of them, at least. Thankfully, the small group in town here seem to have split off from the main force, so they aren't getting anything in the way of support. I have some free time. Ask away. Ma'am?
Well, that was an abrupt ma'am. Definitely feels like that was recorded at a different time. You can see the pathfinding on these characters are pretty bad. Well, we've already made the powder gangers our enemy, so I don't think it really hurts to take it more upon ourselves to just start shooting them. Yeah. And that may just be the best way to go about this. Is to just take up a position. Now, the question here is that the correctional facility, or if, I mean, it kind of has to be. There isn't anything as far as I can see over there. So, yeah, unless it's a building over there, I would assume it's either that building or the building behind it. And game is kind of we need the administrator of the Mojave Express and Prim is who we need to talk to. And so, I don't know if we're supposed to just sneak in or what.
Patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter.
We're hearing immediate repeats of generic lines of dialogue. So I only have like one thought, that maybe if I put the Powder Ganger's outfit on, maybe they would think of me as being on their side. Do I even have the Powder Ganger's outfit? Nope, I put that all away. Okay. So it seems to me like we just can't do anything.
It's been a long tour. All I can think about now is going back home.
Yeah, I imagine you'd get shot at and maybe just instant killed if you went down there. So my thought is to probably work my way around here and see if we can see those Powder Gangers that were over in this section and just take them out. And we have a lone flower. Now, I don't think the flower picking in this game really is going to lead to anything. The uneven surfaces of the desert here might be the after effects of bombings, but it also probably highlights a great way in which you can break up the land mass without just having giant flat places. Because now, if there was, say, a shootout going just past this ridge, I wouldn't be able to see it. I'd have no clue about it. So what I'm trying to see is if maybe there's a way to sneak into Prem. Not that I'm gonna end up sliding with the Powder Gangers. Maybe you are just supposed to walk in there and let them capture you, and maybe it's just a storyline experience where you would just be captured. You'd think that these old iron fences would be easy enough to knock over after so much time. And being nighttime won't, I think, make you any stealthier. The day-night cycle in this game heavily existing also because of just 2 perks. this is the kind of game that is from that era in which you would have worked with a publishing company to promise certain things in your, they promised that certain things would be in your game that could be provable. So you really can't work with a publishing company and say, I promise this game will be fun, because you can't quantify fun in a court of law, and in a contract. You can't. You could possibly agree to surveying random people, but even that would be too risky. So you don't promise fun, and you can't promise sales numbers, because that would be too risky. You just never know about that, particularly since the publisher is often the person in charge of the advertising end of a game. And so if they push a game and advertise it well, it could sell a lot more than if they don't advertise it. And there definitely have been some publishers that have done, in my opinion, some pretty poor jobs advertising games. So what you end up doing is agreeing to a contract of a certain number of locations, a certain number of encounters, lines of dialogue, certain variety, number of weapons, and as such, you start to see those numbers get cheated a little bit when the game developers start to run out of time and run out of budget. You'll just have one unimportant extra gun added just to meet a metric, 100 feathers to collect just to meet an agreed upon metric. Whole bunch of drugs here, and apparently a hauled out rock. So the hope is that slowly games have gotten more reasonable on those kinds of negotiations. Collecting 100 feathers in Assassin's Creed, for instance, while an intriguing idea the first time it was done, very quickly became repetitive by the time you were at the next Assassin's Creed game that wanted the exact same type of collectibles. And then the games just got incredibly repetitive of doing the same thing over and over again. So I have a suspect that we may not be getting into the mountains here, and I think this is a DLC quest here, so we might as well maybe just engage with that. I mean, I kind of don't want to, but I did say to myself that if we happened to make it where we were walking next to a... Notice there's no physics here. Seesaw's not coming down. Okay, so let's look at this quest. Midnight science fiction feature. Investigate the midnight showing at the Mojave Drive-In. Looks like that is right here. So if this is DLC, it probably is going to be scaled really low to accommodate the fact that I'm only at level 2. I kind of feel like I want to be somewhere closer to level 5 before I even left Good Springs. And I do also feel like at some point this whole area would become radioactive and you wouldn't be able to go that way, but honestly don't think that's the case. I think you can walk right up to those statues and through to perhaps a whole different location, and I think you could probably walk right up to all of these mountains, which I question if the Mojave Desert is actually this mountainous, but whatever. You could certainly make the argument that the landmass changed after the war. I have nothing in vats at the moment. What I would suspect is a bunch of insects or something would start to attack once I get in the center area. I also would suspect that there isn't. Is a sarsaparilla bottle cap from a cap? Notice that that just fell through the floor as soon as something next to it moved. That's a physics trick where objects are programmed to not have any physics until something interacts with them, whether you walk over them or you pick up an object next to them. And then the trick fails when something at higher resolutions in particular is halfway through the floor, and so the bottle just falls through the floor because nothing's stopping it. Okay. I really just cannot afford to carry junk. Might be some kind of secret entrance somewhere around here, or there might be one of these radio boxes. This is how drive-in theaters used to work. Is there'd be a pole, and then you would have a box that would be playing the audio while the video was being projected onto a giant screen. At some point they had just FM transmitters, I'm sure, where you could just turn on, or probably not even FM, probably AM radio transmitters. But that would assume that all cars had radios, and in early drive-in theaters, a lot of cars probably wouldn't have had radios. Interesting that there would just be a playground up here at the front. Usually they would have put the playground on the side or the back so that people wouldn't be distracted with kids running around if they're going to have a playground at all. You keep hitting a different button expecting the Pip-Boy to come up, because this game was made before the back button effectively existed, which is not even called the back button or labeled as a back button anymore. It is pretty much a dedicated map button. Okay. The map here is not terrible, but I guess what I should have checked is the world map. Mojave Drive-In is way further away than I thought it was. Okay, so I'm not going to engage with that. Instead, let's look at the world map and see where we're supposed to go. Change your destination, change your mind. I assume this is radioactive water? Yep. A little radiation's not gonna be too much of a problem. for a game that has almost all the water being irradiated, there is actually very little water in the Fallout series. It would kind of make more sense to I guess we can sneak in here. Kind of would make more sense to have oceans surround more of the location. And Fallout 3 did have some oceans on the very edges of the maps, but like 1 out of 3 of the edges of the map. So, on one level, I am afraid we would just be shot and die instantaneously. On the other level, that's not really how Fallout games work. Well, this is way too easy. See like one enemy as I'm approaching. And then, so seems like it would just be a case of coming around the corner. And the question here is, should I be using the varmint rifle, or should I swap to a real gun? I think we'll swap to a real gun. Okay. 40%. Yeah, you still really need to use that. So that was player review cinematics of a kill. Let's see. $20 NCR rounds. Should I really carry a tire iron? And see, here you have what looks like it might have been a female or a male. It's kind of hard to tell. It's like there's probably glitch here. But yeah, the number of people you run into that might be female, it's going to be very hard to tell when they're just covered up. Yeah. The game may very well be trying to increase the number of females I fight so that my perk is more valuable. So is it the Lucky Casino that we're going to? Well, it looks like we're going in here through this door. So before we go in there through that door, we'll go ahead and equip a slightly better pistol. Damage is 9, then it says DPS 30. Yeah. The fact that it's fading between those two stats instead of just saying both stats on the screen at the same time is kind of annoying. Perception being higher is probably better. And my armor probably doesn't need to be any higher. We've got some posters here. So I assume this was a movie theater. Oh, Vicky and Vance. Maybe not a movie theater, maybe a dance club. Regardless, it seems like the move is to go in here and just kill everybody.
I don't know what it was brought you to Prim, youngster, but you might want to rethink your plans. Town's gone to hell.
Remember, I'm also squashed down still again. We'll start with the simple questions. We know from the heads-up display his name is Johnson Nash, but let's just pretend like we don't.
Johnson Nash is my name. Husband to Ruby Nash. Lived in Prim going on 8 years now, thick and thin. I'm a trader primarily, for what it's worth with things like they are. I also run the local Mojave Express outpost.
So, we were a courier for the Mojave Express.
Well, I don't got any work right now, sorry to say. I'll tell you whatever I can. You have a delivery order you can show me?
So we apparently have a delivery order in our inventory.
Oh, so you're talking about one of them packages. That job had strange written all over it, but we couldn't turn down the caps.
So we were delivering some kind of platinum chip, and I'm not sure if the platinum chip is just a poker chip that maybe had actual platinum in it, or might have a computer chip in it, or may not have platinum in it, and may just be called a platinum chip.
That cowboy robot had us hire 6 couriers. Each was carrying something a little different. Pair of dice, chess piece, that kind of stuff. Last word I have from the office, it looked like payment had been received for the other 5 jobs. Guess it was just your chip that didn't make it. First deadbeat we hired to do the job canceled. Hope a storm from the divide skins him alive. Well, that's where you came in. Yeah, I got this look when he saw you next down on the courier list. His expression turned right around. Asked me if your name was for real. I said sure as lack of rain, you were still kicking. Then he turned down the job, just like that. I asked if he was sure it was good money. No. Let Courier 6 carry the package. That's what he said. Like the Mojave'd sort you out or something. Then he just up and walked out.
Interesting. So now there's a mystery man involved.
No idea. Sounds like you two had a history for him to act like that. And turn down the money too. Hope he didn't see any trouble in that package of yours. Maybe he thought your name was bad luck. Enough for me to say. Well, now that you mentioned it, a few nights back, one of the townies was out scavenging for supplies. He said he saw a fellow with a daisy suit come through with some of them Great Con misfits. They was talking about a chip. Well, for that, your best bet is going to be talking to Deputy Beagle. Since they came to town, he was keeping a good bit of notes on them, and he was slinking around Bison Steve when your pretty boy friend came through. He may have heard where they were going.
So we're moving the main story forward.
A Beagle had
Just to
some
ask
notes
all the
he was
questions.
taking while he was eavesdropping around the powder gangsters. He'll be your best source of information.
So we have to move
that subject.
on and talk to Beagle. Hopefully, you would like a little bit more shooting going on here. The problem here is that they've made a game where the bullets seem like they are intentionally scarce, which is just going to inherently make the game less of the shooter grind style of gameplay that most people expect in video games, is to just run and gun quite a bit. And it's fine, I guess, if you made your game overall shorter to get rid of the shooter grind, but it's not fine if you're just going to add more dialogue.
Sure, I'll tell you what I know. Don't go getting yourself shot.
Okay. So, I guess the case here is we're inside a casino. That's not really what I was expecting. This one slot machine seems like it almost would work.
Howdy.
And so this is just Prim residence. Random generated people.
Howdy.
And remember, we could just shoot people if we wanted to. Like, we could just gun down this whole room if we didn't want to have conversation, and if we just wanted to kill and loot people, and that still would be a very doable way to play.
Howdy, partner. Welcome to the Vicky and Vans
Fallout
Casino and
games.
Museum. Prim Slim at your service. Authentic cowpoke and official spokespot of the Vicky and Vans Casino and Museum. Yeehaw! Where have you been, partner? Hiding under a rock? Vicky and Vans were this nation's 4th or maybe 5th most infamous celebrity outlaw couple ever. That's who they was. Prim Slim here can tell you the whole story, if you can spare a minute to hear the tale.
Should I hear the whole story? I feel like there might be an achievement in it. Speaking of achievements, it looks like there's 75 of those in total.
Yahoo!
And
I ain't had a
I
chance
have
to tell that
unlocked
tale in a mess of years.
2.
First things first. Any boss you've
There's
heard
a
about
decent
Vicky and Vans
chance
being copycats ain't nothing but ill-tempered slander.
that you could get most
Fact
of them.
is, they
I
begun
wouldn't be
their
surprised
crime
if there's
spree 2
one.
days before Bonnie and Clyde robbed their first bank. So who was copying who?
I wouldn't be surprised if
Now,
there's a
true,
hardcore
Vicky and
achievement that
Vans
makes
didn't
it
exactly
pointless
cut
to
a
try to
wide
get
swath
any of the other
murder and bank
achievements.
robbery across the central U.S. like Bonnie and Clyde did. It was more like a narrow swath of shoplifting, check cashing fraud, and gas pump drive-offs. But crime is crime. They drove reckless too. Having lived by the gun, well, Vance owned one anyway, it was only fitting that the duo of desperados would die by the gun. Perhaps it was fate itself that accidentally drove them into a crossfire between police and a gang of bank robbers in Plano, Texas. Or maybe they just didn't notice until it was too late. It's been said that Vicky would have tried to cash a bad check in that bank, had she lived. We'll never know for sure. All we know is that the crossfire tore the car and both occupants to pieces, and the police issued an official apology. You can put your eyes on the genuine death car just over yonder, and there's Vance's machine gun in the case next to it.
So, it's a Bonnie and Clyde ripoff.
Prim is a thriving resort community located in Clark
museum.
County, Nevada, right along Interstate 15. Whether you can't wait till Vegas to try your luck, or want to hit one last jackpot before you leave Nevada, Prim's your place. The town's premier attraction is the world-famous Vicky and Vans Casino and Museum, so you came to the right place, partner.
It definitely seems to me like they're just making up backstory and making up cities to suit the needs of the game.
The Bison Steve is one of Prim's less impressive casino hotels. I'd steer clear of that place, partner, if I were you. Rumor is the dealers over there are cheap, and that rickety roller coaster is liable to fall down any day because it wasn't built to code. Why, this is the Vicky and Vans Casino and Museum, Prim's premier
I was
tourist
hoping
attraction
to
and
get a
resort
little bit
destination.
more for putting up with
Yeehaw.
the robot talking. Or maybe there should be a precedent in Fallout games that you should never bother to talk to robots because it's
You
pointless.
got it, partner. Prim Slim loves to spin a yarn. First things first, any boss you... Fact,
We'll skip
now,
through this
true, it was...
and see if it gives us another brochure. Nope.
Happy trails, partner.
And as for the brochure, it's probably just yet another pointless item. Notice we don't really have quest items specifically either. So if there are quest items, they are just going to be in the inventory with everything else. Yeah, apparently I got a brochure, but I don't see it actually being added to the inventory. I feel like I'm walking faster now. than I usually do. Maybe the walking speed's a little bit higher inside of buildings. A completely open safe there. You've got some casino tables that people are sitting at but not gambling. We already talked to him. The rest of these are just residents. I guess this is supposed to be Vicky and Vance. Mannequins display records of some of the clothing that was found in the trunk of Vicky and Vance's death car. Vance didn't share Vicky's sense of fashion and chose to dress himself how he envisioned a gangster would dress. Well, they're not dressed in any outfits at all. And I guess this is probably Vicky. These replicas show how conscious Vicky was of the styles of the period. Vicky was well known for her sense of fashion, and her fixation on expensive clothing was thought to be one of the reasons the pair chose a life of crime. Again, no costumes here, and it doesn't seem like you can activate the costumes. Now, Fallout games do have this level of creepiness, which...
Hey there.
I do believe these eyes are following me, yes.
Howdy.
So, either this is a glitch and these are programmed to follow me for just creepy reasons, or this is actually a human being who's been maybe encased in plaster. And so one would assume the same is true here. And so one would assume these might be crazy people or bad guys, or perhaps they do have just a high level of cruel punishment. Yeah. And then it says there's a 9mm here, but it's not there. So I think the robot's crazy.
Hey there.
I think the people might be crazy. Let's see. Do we have a bartender that would serve us as like a shopkeeper? All of these people have guns out, drawn, ready to fight. So it would be a rough decision, certainly, to just take out this whole group of people.
Hey there.
Here's a Nuka-Cola machine. But you can't just spend money to purchase Nuka-Colas. You have to open them up, and I guess that would be stealing.
Howdy, partner. Welcome to the... Just mosey on over to the display case and you'll see it plain as day. Quite a beast, that gun. Mint condition, never fired.
So, Science 25, have you been hacked or something?
You're plumb loco, partner. Just mosey.
That didn't work. Let's try that
Yep,
again. I think if you fail... Yeah, fail every time.
Just mosey on over...
Oh, yeah, and I needed a science of 50 for that to work.
Have you gone loco, partner? I can see the gun with my own 3 photo sensors from where I'm standing right now. Quit yammering on about missing guns, partner. Prim Slim's a busy man. Ain't got time for that sort of bosh. Happy trails, partner.
So there's a mystery here. The robot has been hacked by somebody. And so then the only person I guess maybe to ask or talk to. Now, the eyes here look just like statue eyes. Let's talk to the Ruby
Hello
Nash.
there. What brings you to Prim? I'm Ruby Nash. Pleased to make your acquaintance. My husband and I are Prim long-timers. He fancies himself a trader, and I know my way around a kitchen. My mother taught me never to say something unless it was nice. So I don't have nothing to say about Prim, for the time being at least. It's a sad state of affairs. Discuss it with Mr. Nash if you care to. Just makes me want to cry.
Well, what I'd really like is some kind of highlight
My specialty is a
or
rad
ability
scorpion
to
venom casserole. It's more appetizing than it sounds.
to know who in a room
The venom
is
has a sharp, smoky
a
flavor.
important
and it numbs your
NPC
mouth
versus
so
the
fierce you'll
non-important
forget you ever
NPCs.
had a tongue. It's perfectly safe.
You would
long as
probably
don't
want
have
that
sores in your
to
mouth
be
for the venom to find your
fairly
blood,
natural, where
'cause that'll kill you dead.
important NPCs
Does sound good, don't it? How many rad scorpion glands you got? Guess you'll be needing.
so she'll make some
Goodbye.
of that soup. Yeah, she does look like a more uniquely designed character than most of the residents, but
Hey there.
yeah, you put those two people together and I wouldn't immediately assume that this is just a non-important character and this is an important character. Let's go and talk to Nash again.
Hey, youngster. Right now, Beagle is the closest Prim's got to any organized law, but he's still stuck up in Bison Steve. First thing I'd say is get his sorry butt out of there. Sure, have a look.
Let's see. I think buying the cards do make some sense. Even though we don't know what those do. Then there's less reason, I think, to probably buy much of anything else. I have a fairly high amount of caps, and I am noticing in this game, compared to Fallout 3, it feels like you are doing just a better job of... Is this free? Apparently so. It definitely seems to me like you are just in a better situation financially. I assume I'm not supposed to be breaking things down like weapons. We'll sell the more expensive ones. Some of this armor and equipment is way valuable. Goggles, helmet. Sell that. And I just don't think we'll be doing drugs, so let's go ahead and get rid of things like that, unless it's like the Mintat's charisma increasing. steady, has no weight, so I should just hold on to it. Alcohol. We'll probably avoid that. I wouldn't be surprised if there are achievements for drinking alcohol and doing drugs, so I might just go down the list of all the achievements at the very end of this game, if I even get that far. That is certainly an if. Where? Sell things. This will, at the very least, lower my carrying weight, I think. And I guess if something has the junk icon in the left, no, too many things have that junk icon to mean they're all junk. So I assume something else is going on here. Bullets don't have any weight. And anytime I see a playing card, I'm gonna
Thanks.
I'm gonna purchase it. Let's see.
Well, I'll answer what I can. Sure do. I run the courier office out of my shop. Leastways I did before things went to hell around here.
Too much talking.
Ask away. Let's see. Been tough around here for a good while now. Worse since them thugs kidnapped our deputy. It started with the breakout from the prison up the road. First there was just a few thugs rolling through town, but then they got organized. Now they call themselves powder gangsters or something, and run around throwing dynamite and shooting people. Little while ago, a good chunk of them left whatever kind of organization they got up there to squeeze all the food and drink out of us they could.
I guess that's all the
Ask
questions
away.
about Prim. Nope, there's still questions. So, and that seems like that's a mistake, to have something marked out like you've done everything when you
That's
haven't.
where we are. This here little casino brought some cash and bodies into the town before them powder gangsters came in. Now, they can't rush us without eating a good bit of hot lead, but we are in a kind of box canyon. Guess this is a fitting place for that as any. I reckon that if they thought hard enough about it, they'd realize they got more bodies than we have bullets. But for now, we're safe enough in here. Ask away. It's an old hotel and casino here in town. Old Laura used to rent out rooms there, but she took off months ago. Across the way from the Vicky and Vance, the other old casino. Can't miss it.
I think
go get
these
yourself
episodes
shot.
are going to be fairly inconsistent.
Hey, youngster. Still.
Did we get still several questions here?
Well, you can call Beagle a deputy so long as you don't harbor too high an opinion of the word. Boy was about as useful as tits on a rat scorpion. Only qualification he ever had was to be brother to the wife of the sheriff. Still, I suppose he don't deserve what's befell him. We would have considered paying the ransom if we'd had caps to spare. Gangers, gangsters, all sounds like trouble to me.
So there was this game Caravan.
You think you have what it takes, kid?
You must have at least 30 cards to play Caravan, so... Oh. I think I figured out what the cards are for, at least. Okay. So we know what is in here. And we are probably in an area that needs to be revisited. And yeah, I could end an episode here and feel like I've not really accomplished much. Or I should do what I probably should have done anyways. You just have a order. Notes. How do you get to notes? Data. Miscellaneous. It's here. North entrance of the Vegas Strip by the free side and agents. Blah 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 blah. 2 oversized dice. So apparently I don't have a high enough repair skill to fix that. These radios are on, but they're not loud enough really for me to hear them. I don't care what they are saying. I imagine the radio would be. A way of... Okay. Of getting hints to do other sections. Okay. This would give me science plus 10. We have one that would give us repair plus 10. Alright, so we'll try this. That didn't work. And we'll lose some karma for stealing. So you lose karma even if you're not seen. So that's something to also consider. So that should be now even higher. Still didn't work. So my science, is it plus 10 now? Or is it even higher? Science is just at 35. And let's see. Read that. So there's a whole thing, I think, probably, to that, and I've just wasted all that. So, what if we were to simply save ourselves that frustration and just save scum a little bit, and not have stolen those two things, and then just walk out? Yeah. I think that's not something I would do too often, but in that case we can at least maintain our karma as being a pure player. We wouldn't dare steal things. A lot of this layout in these building designs are just 100% the same as Fallout 3. There undoubtedly was some sharing going on there. And that does bring out an interesting question, certainly, as far as whether you can ever really trust who actually made any game. Because, particularly if you look at Nintendo. Nintendo has second-party developers make a lot of their games and then slaps Nintendo's name on it to make it seem like Nintendo just churns out video games left and right. And that's basically happening in secret for every game ever made. So if you told me that half of Fallout 3 was actually developed in secret by Obsidian as a second-party developer, I would believe you. I have no evidence to say that that's really what did happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if something like that, or if some other second-party developer made. Where did that come from? People must be running along the rooftop here. Interesting, so they have the high ground. Yeah. There is a real desire, I think, or perhaps not so much a desire as a need for better crediting and laws to force companies to credit people. Have no action points, or my action points are not locking in. In Fallout 3 you could turn off the decapitations, and I probably would say that should happen because it happens at a unrealistically high occurrence rate. And see, when you're engaged in combat, you really don't want to spend a lot of time going through inventories. I don't think the game even pauses when you're going through an inventory, so if you don't just take everything, somebody else might shoot you. What I'm wondering here is if this might activate something. Setting, stating, warrior, opening, meeting. I think stating's probably a good one. 6 out of 7 correct. Telling me then if stating is not right, it's gotta be setting, which we saw setting down here. What? Right, we have 2 more choices here. Oh, staying? Finally made it to level 3. And I don't think want to do any... Oh, I guess this maybe unlock that door. Okay. Speech probably not that important. Repair to 45. Science needs to go up to at least that. And then lockpick, gonna just leave it to bottom. And explosives may play a better role. Barter, I think, is too high at this point. It really is only round numbers, so I don't think getting science up to like 33 makes sense. Guns to 15 makes sense. And they're not going to give me a perk point, apparently. Find that strange. Here we have a corpse. Bison Steve's maintenance key. What do we want to potentially take? Lunch boxes, I think you can make bombs out of those, but I probably don't have the capability of doing that at the moment. Nuka-Cola is about the only thing I'm gonna take as far as food. Mentats have no weight, so we can take that. And then we'll take everything medical. Lockpick of 50 to be able to lockpick this safe. So that is making an argument to up your lockpicking stat fairly quickly. Now we know there's just another enemy around this corner. The other thing about being in vats instead of having you shoot like an action game is that vats will stop shooting once you kill the enemy and save your bullets. Which, since there is that aspect of bullets being kind of more rare in New Vegas compared to Fallout 3, it might be a big deal. I think pre-war books may not be a big deal in this game, however. I kind of question if even caps are going to be a big deal. 75 to open that one. There are items like pre-war money that.
What was that?
This guy only has a knife. Notice how everything's slowed down, but we didn't get an actual kill in that case. No kill cam. And I'm at like 100 bullets now with the 9mm, so I feel very confident as far as how bullets go. And this literally is just a section that I recognize from Fallout 3. Just get a brief moment to see yourself, I guess. And so seems like we could just go that way. And ignore the encounters and the fighting. But why? We're doing well enough. Yeah, in Fallout 3, the pre-war money felt like it would have been an object that would have some reason to exist, and it really didn't. There's very much possibility that any one item might be tradable to one person in Fallout New Vegas. So coming this way, maybe I protected this hostage. Maybe. And now over encumbered. I'm over encumbered and cannot run. Yeah, that is just going to constantly be the problem. See, I don't know if we have I don't know if we've cleared out a significant number of people. Alright, so egg timer, 1 weight, 1 value. Empty syringe, 0 weight. Fire hose nozzle, 1 weight, 5 value. Fission batteries, you want to keep those, but they are heavy. Lead has heavy weight. Lunchbox we'll get rid of. Reward money does have value. Scrap metal. Let's see, the hope here. Well, actually, that's not what we want to do. We don't want to put it in bodies because there's a decent chance that would despawn. So, weights on the pistols. Damage per second 33, 33, 29. It sounds like we've got some better pistols here. Value 35, 60, 104. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. Then, get rid of the baseball bat. Get rid of cleavers. Dynamite we'll keep. We have an incinerator. Flamethrower, we have a laser pistol, tire irons, I think we can get rid of those, and then varmint rifles, we'll get rid of all but one of those, charmer outfits, I'm just looking at the values of things. As far as what I want to keep and what I want to get rid of. And some of these things probably should just get rid of in general. They're very rarely have been cases in my previous experience of just playing Fallout 3 twice, where dressing up and changing your outfit really changed anything. Sensor module. Leave that. Scrap metal. Leave that. We'll leave lunchbox. Leave that. What am I carrying that is so incredibly heavy? That's what's got me confused here, is I'm still at 196 of 200. Bullets don't have any weight at all. Dynamite has a very high value, so I wouldn't want to get rid of it. Let's go ahead and get rid of, I guess, a broad machete. And I guess one pistol. Go ahead and get rid of that. Yeah. Is it food? Is it possible that I have a massive amount of food in some way? Stim packs have no weight. These sarsaparilla sunsets. Weapon repair kits. Probably try and use some of those. It's the fission batteries. I gotta sell the fission batteries. They're taking up a massive amount of space. Of weight. Right. That puts me in a very weird position, certainly, because I'm pretty sure there are some enemies around. Here we have one of those two-headed cows. We haven't seen any of those actually walking around. If there are cards, the question is going to be if any of those cards would just be on the table somewhere. Probably won't. And I guess we'll just leave that there. And then otherwise, I think there's probably not anything that important here. You can't just automatically eat things.
I don't suppose you came here to rescue me. I'd cross my fingers, but my hands are numb. Why, yes I am. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm in a bit of a predicament here. I'd be most appreciative if you'd set me free.
Let's see.
My good lady, I believe I may have some information that would prove useful. If you would just untie my hands, I'd be more than happy to share that information I have with you.
Well, let's try the speech.
Well, you look to be a trustworthy sort. Okay, I'll tell you what I know. I overheard them saying that they're on their way to Novak. If you want to follow them, I strongly suggest that you follow the road through Nipton. There are a lot of dangerous things out in the desert. You won't have me with you to protect you, as I need to stay here and keep Prim safe. It would be so very delightful if you set me free. I must say it's been the low point of my career in law enforcement. The
So,
powder gangers stole
we
into
moved
town
the
at night
the
and
quest
murdered my
forward.
sister and her husband, the sheriff, in bed while I was sleeping in the office. I watched them for a bit, waiting for the right moment to pounce and arrest the lot of them, taking careful notes as I watched. To my dismay, they found me while I waited in the shadows and brought me here. Oh, that's just marvelous. I think I'll be making my way outside now. The air's a little close in here.
Let's go with, if you try to run away instead of fighting by my side, I'll kill you myself.
Oh, why, of course. I'd never let you fight my kidnappers with my help. Without it. You lead the way.
So now we have this is the eyeball of an escaped convict. So we have a companion. Can we give
If we
him
were to
some
miss
stuff?
a convict or two in here, who'd know the difference? I just hope I won't have to use it.
So what weapon do we want to give him? Not the dynamite. You know what? Take that gun.
And depart we will.
And we'll go ahead and equip this. And let's see what that looks like. Sure. Seems like that works. So we had a little bit of conversation. Everything still is in here. No real surprise on that aspect. And so there was two ways around. Either you had the key and you snuck around back, or you would have just had to fight everybody. And then there's two ways up, which is either you go up the elevator or you shoot people. There is perhaps an argument to calling it a day and call that enough success. Yeah, I think that's the move. There is certainly a possibility that there's very little up on the second floor, just a somewhat small area. But there is also a possibility that this is the first of the major sections of gameplay, and we're really going to go in here and pull it off. It's funny, the $5 NCR buck is worth 78 caps, so there is a lack of a one-to-one relationship there. Yeah. What we can do, I guess, is see if markers stay around. So we can set a marker there to remind us where we left all of that junk. Not that that junk's going to really matter, or that we likely are even going to come back to it. And we are in Prem. We know where the California drive-thru is, and we know where a canyon wreckage is on the map. And then the main story is telling us to go to Nipton towards the Mojave drive-in. So it is taking us further south, not through the north towards where New Vegas would be, which is, I assume, somewhere in this section. We started over here. So we're starting fairly close, and then we're going away. But you really can't go that far away. This map is not that big. And then, let's see. We'll set my kind of town as the quest. Here's that brochure. It's under miscellaneous. Alright. Let's go ahead and make a save file. Have a few hundred more save files I could make. So, yep. Overall, this is going as expected for a Fallout game. There is less vault element to it. It definitely has less of that feel so far. And that may be the one thing that hurts Fallout New Vegas more, is that there may just not be that many vaults you go into. There may not be that many side quests. It may be much more of a funneling, nearly linear experience where you're going to go from point A to point B to point C all the way to the end of the game, and it may just have that more of a cinematic feel. It doesn't really feel like I could have run in a different direction and done something completely different. Feels like I needed to go to Prem. I do feel I am fairly low in level, and so there's something to be said about that I'm hoping we level up fairly quickly. But if it does take an hour every time to go even one level up, then we're probably looking at 60 to 70 hours just to get to max level, and very possibly a lot more to accomplish everything we would like to accomplish in this game. But yeah, no big surprises so far. It still feels mostly like a Fallout game. Anyways, that's going to be where I decide to stop. We're going to have some fairly inconsistent lengths of episodes. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, and always keep watching. Thanks.